Hello and welcome to this session. In our today's lecture, we are going to focus on Aristotle's definition of happiness. So Aristotle actually, he gave emphasis on happiness, and he said that the happiness, that is the main goal or objective of a person's life. So whatever you do, at the end of the day, actually you have to be happy. And Aristotle says that the happiness it itself is a goal, that is an objective of the life. The purpose of life is to achieve happiness. And therefore, he suggested some ideas about how to be happy in our life and how actually we can achieve happiness and when actually we'll call it that is happiness. So from Aristotle's discussion, so we'll try to focus on the idea of happiness. Now, if I ask you the same question, that are you happy? Are you happy? If you ask you this, are you happy? Can anyone tell me confidently that, okay, I'm happy? Is there anyone who can tell that he or she is happy? Masum, are you happy?
Yes, sir. I am happy.
How do you define your happiness? Why are you happy?
Sir, in religious view, sir, I am happy, sir. But তার মানে আমি যদি সৃষ্টিকর্তার পথ অনুসরণ করি তাহলে সেই দিক থেকে আমি সুস্থ আছি এবং আমি চলতে পারি স্বাভাবিকভাবে খাইতে পারি আমার
explain this thing in English please. That means I mean you have a good health and you can move, you can eat, you can taste lots of different kinds of food, you can see, you can enjoy, you can smell. For all these things you are happy, right?
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone else who can say very confidently?
Working place, sir, I am not happy, sir.
With your working place, you're not happy. Where are you working now?
Yes, sir. In these situations, sir, now Corona virus, we are stay at home, and sir, our class, but we are not happy for study in home, sir. But our university is. When we go to the university, we feel.
That means you feel more connected and you can concentrate, you can learn more. I mean, when you have face-to-face, classroom situation, right? Not in-person classroom, that is. But online classroom, it helps, but it's not like when you are at the university and you're attending classes, lectures in the classroom, right?
Yes.
So for that reason, you're not happy. Okay, great. I understand why you're not happy. But mostly you're happy, right? Overall, can I say that Masum is a happy person?
Yes, sir.
So is there anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Who is happy? Okay. So as I was saying, is there anyone who can tell me whether he or she is happy? কেউ কি বলবে? Nishi. I think there is someone called Nishi. Is she here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, Nishi, are you happy? Can I say that Nishi is a happy person?
Sir, no, sir.
Why not?
Sir, because all of the time, for me, it's the thing I'm satisfied or not, what is happening or not. So when I'm not satisfied, then I'm happy. And when I'm not satisfied, then I'm not happy.
But you're physically fit. You don't have any that kind of disease. Do you have any disease, any terminal disease, or any kind of contagious disease, or any kind of chronic disease? Do you have any kind of disease like that?
No, sir.
So mentally you are fit. So you don't have any mental problem, psychological disorder. Do you have?
No, sir.
That's great. So physically you're fit. You don't have any psychological disorder. That means your physical well-being, mental well-being in both ways, actually you're fit, right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have to earn money to support your family or to support yourself? Do you have to earn
No,
money?
sir.
Okay. So then why aren't you happy?
No, sir. I'm saying that if I'm satisfied, then I'm happy. So if I'm not, at that time I'm not happy. But for me, it's seeing that uh, sadness is eternal and happiness is for some
Sadness is
time.
eternal and happiness is temporary. Is it like that? That you want to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe
Yes,
that
sir.
is
Yes.
that maybe that is your philosophy, your definition. So I don't want to argue with that. It's your life, the way you see, that's your perspective, and I welcome that. Great. Okay, now we have found that, for example, you have a complete different
Yes,
opinion
sir.
about
But
happiness.
because you cannot be happy all the time, 24/7.
At the same time, you cannot be sad all the time, 24/7. Is it possible? For
Yes, sir.
example,
Of course.
for
Yes,
example,
sir.
maybe today you are going to have a very good lunch, a sumptuous one. Maybe your mom is cooking a very delicious kind of curry, correct? So
Yes, sir.
you're going to enjoy a
Sounds.
very good lunch today. So don't you think that
Yes, sir. At
that
that
is
time, I'm
happiness?
happy. Yes, sir, at that
So
time, I'm happy.
when the lunch is over, then again you are sad.
No, sir.
Right. So Muslim actually he said that he has a different kinds of opinion about happiness, and that is a mixed kind of feeling. That he is happy, mostly he is happy, but sometimes he is sad, which sounds very human. এটা খুবই মানবিক একটা ব্যাপার. That is the human essence that we cannot be all the time happy. We can't be all the time sad. Okay, let's see what is the belief or what is the concept of happiness as proposed or promulgated by Aristotle himself. Now, look at this screen. Can you see the screen? I think it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Right. Can anyone volunteer to read the first sentence? Who will volunteer to read the first sentence? Could you please read it? Nishat. Nishat.
Yes, sir.
Nishat. Nishat, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, read it.
Okay. Aristotle's definition of happiness. Happiness depends on ourselves more than anybody else.
Okay,
Aristotle.
done. Thank you. So happiness depends on ourselves. So that is the very basic or bottom line of happiness, which is suggested by Aristotle. I hope you agree with that or not.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, there are some external factors that we have to depend on to be happy or to be sad, but mostly it depends on ourselves that whether we can be happy with the very minimum kind of facilities. So it depends on ourselves mostly. Let's
Yes,
see
sir.
what he has said. Now, more than anybody else, Aristotle enshrines happiness as a central purpose of human life and a goal in itself. So he says that that's the central purpose of human life, that we have to be happy. Okay, that is the central purpose of life. And it is the objective or the purpose of life. As a result, he devotes more space to the topic of happiness than any thinker prior to the modern era. So you see, he gave more importance on this other purpose than any other philosophers in the modern era. Living during the same period as Mencius, but on the other side of the world, he draws some similar conclusions. That is, happiness depends on the cultivation of virtue. Though his virtues are somewhat more individualistic than the essentially social virtues of the Confucians. So people who believe in the Confucius and his philosophies from China, they believe that essentially that is a social virtue. But on the other hand, our Aristotle, he believes that but that is it's very much individualistic. That means you have to practice it individually. You have to cultivate it individually. That means it's personal. You have to cultivate virtue in yourself. Then you can attain happiness. If you don't have virtue, if you don't practice it, if you don't cultivate virtue, then you cannot be happy. So that is the belief of Aristotle. Now here, Aristotle, you can see he was also convinced that a genuinely happy life required the fulfillment of a broad range of conditions. So there are many conditions that you have to fulfill them. Then you can be happy. That includes physical as well as mental well-being. So you see the physical well-being and mental well-being. That's why I asked the same question to Nishi, that whether actually she is happy. She said that she isn't happy mostly. Then when I asked her about her physical well-being and mental well-being, and mostly actually, you see, she's okay, she's doing fine, but still she says that she is not happy. But Aristotle suggested that if you're happy physically and mentally, if you're well physically and mentally, if you're okay, then you must be happy. Now, here he has introduced in this way a kind of science of happiness, and that's a very classical sense. That is in this science of happiness, which has been established by Aristotle himself, especially, and it has become a part of the field of knowledge, and people are studying that how to be happy. Still, you can find it that people they count happiness in different ways. For example, in Bangladesh, mostly people they get happy with a very minimum kind of wage, which is very astonishingly, you can say that's very surprising. We are surprised that we have very limited resources, but still we are happy. So, because you see, people can be happy with very limited resources or limited amount of money or other modern facilities. I can give an interesting fact about, I know some of you might know this, that in Bhutan, which is one of the beautifulest countries in the world, or the most beautiful countries in the world, you can say that is Bhutan. In Bhutan, for example, in our country, we try to count the GDP, the gross domestic production, on the basis of the wealth or the income. But in Bhutan, they count their GDP or gross domestic product on the basis of happiness. That means how much you are happy in your life. That will be counted in the national GDP. So that is the main important thing of factors. So you see, the philosophy of life is different. That's why it's not gross domestic product, that is gross domestic happiness. So that is the criteria to you can say, to measure the development of the country. So their development is based on happiness, not based on wealth or production. Understood what I'm saying? Do you understand it? Dear students, do you get my point, what I'm saying? The situation in Bhutan. Hello, Masum? Ryan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? That how Bhutanese people in the Bhutan, how they count their development. It's not based on finance, it's based on happiness. If people are happy, that means the development of the country is going on well. If most of the people there are unhappy, that means the development of the country isn't there. So it's very interesting. This is the only one country who actually calculates their GDP on the basis of their happiness, not on the basis of production, wealth, or money, or you can say the foreign exchange. Not like this. So it's quite different. So Aristotle actually he suggested in the same line, the idea of happiness. We can find it there in the same way. Now here you see, Aristotle argues that virtue is achieved by maintaining the mean, which is the balance between two excesses. Aristotle's doctrine of the mean is reminiscent of Buddha's middle path, but there are intriguing differences. So Aristotle says mean means in the middle, not to exert to attain the two extremes, not too sad or not too happy. But in between, if you can stay, or if you can achieve that kind of, that kind of, not the extremes, but in between, if you can stay there, then we can call it, that you are happy. And this happiness, or this idea of happiness, that is the reminiscent of Buddha's middle path. Gautam Buddha in Buddhism, he also actually suggested the same thing. He also prescribed the same kind of happiness, okay, as Aristotle did. But Aristotle did, before Buddha. For Aristotle, the mean was the method of achieving virtue, but for Buddha, the middle path referred to a peaceful way of life, which negotiated the extremes of harsh asceticism and sensual pleasure seeking. The middle path was a minimal requirement for the meditative life, not the source of virtue itself. Try to understand it. What's the difference between these two persons, or these two philosophers? Aristotle, the mean was a method of achieving virtue. So mean means how actually you can achieve virtue by keeping yourselves in between the two extremes. But for Buddha, the middle path referred to a peaceful way of life, which negotiated the extremes of harsh asceticism and sensual pleasure seeking. So here you see, it's a kind of negotiation between the two extremes, or too good, too bad, too hot, or too cold, too lenient or soft, or too harsh or ruthless. So in between, both Aristotle and Buddha, both of them, they suggested the same thing. But here you see, negotiated the extremes of harsh asceticism and sensual pleasure seeking. Buddha suggested that one must not be too ascetic. You know the meaning of the word ascetic? Can anyone tell what does it mean? Asceticism. Riazul, are you there? Riazul, are you there?
স্যার রিয়াজুল স্যার জার্নিতে আছে স্যার, তাই মেবি কথা বলতে পারে।
Okay, no problem, no problem.
এখন গাড়িতে আছে তো স্যার, শুনে যাচ্ছে না মনে স্যার, একটু সমস্যা হচ্ছে কথা বলতে।
Okay, it's okay, Riazul, I understand it, no problem. Just stay with us. Okay, Masood, could you please give me some names? Randomly, just give me some names. I'll ask them. Who else are there? Bushra.
সাদিয়া, বুশরা।
Yeah, Sadia.
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me, what does it mean, asceticism or ascetic? Can you tell me the meaning of the word? Who can say? Hurry up, hurry up. It's a part of the philosophy, asceticism. It's a kind of philosophy, or it's a way of life, you can say. Tell me. We call it in Bengali Boiragyopat. You know, Boiragyo, Sannashpat, or Sannashi, ascetic.
Yes, sir.
That means they don't get married, they don't care about the worldly life or worldly pleasure. They live life in a different way, even sometimes they don't have any place to live in. Sometimes they just roam around the country at different places. So they are ascetic. So harsh asceticism, it is not vouchsafed or it is not supported by Gautam Buddha. Buddha এই ধরনের জীবনযাপনকে তিনি সাপোর্ট করেন না, যে একদম কমপ্লিটলি ascetic life lead করবে। You must follow the asceticism, but not harsh asceticism. That means to the extreme level. আমরা যেটাকে বলি extreme level এই বৈরাগ্যবাদ বা তিনি সাপোর্ট করেন। আবার অন্যদিকে sensual pleasure seeking, that means you are too sensual, you are too corrupted, perverted, you're greedy, you are voluptuously greedy, you want to eat a lot, you want to enjoy a lot, everything is fun for you. You don't take life that much seriously, you just want to enjoy life on this world. Very much hedonistic outlook towards life. Got it, what I'm saying? Did you get the point, what I'm saying? Understood? Sensual pleasure, I hope you understand, right?
Yes, sir.
ইন্দ্রিয়র তাড়না, মানে অনেক বেশি ইন্দ্রিয় তাড়িত, মন যা চায় তাই করে, তাই খায়, সকাল নেই বিকাল নেই। মানে প্লেজার অর্জন করবার জন্য তোমার যা ইচ্ছা তাই করা, তো তোমার আনব্রিডলড ওয়ে, Actually, you try to enjoy everything. I mean, you're unfettered. যার কোনো শৃঙ্খলবদ্ধতা নেই, আইন মানে না, যা ইচ্ছা তাই করে। বলছে এরকম দুটো এক্সট্রিমে হওয়া যাবে না। না যেমন হওয়া যাবে খুব সন্ন্যাসী, আবার না যেমন হওয়া যাবে খুব অসৎ চরিত্রের একটা জীবন বা লোভের জীবন, এমন হবে। এই দুয়ের মাঝামাঝি থাকতে হবে। That is the mean. That is the middle path, which has been suggested by Buddha and also Aristotle. He also supported or authenticated this kind of life. So the middle path was the minimum requirement for the meditative life. So if you want to meditate, if you want to concentrate on your life, so you have to learn how to live your life with the minimal kind of facilities, modern amenities. Understood? খুব কম উপকরণ নিয়ে জীবনযাপন করতে শিখতে হবে, তাহলে জীবনে সুখী হওয়া যাবে না। এই চাই চাই খাই খাই এটা চলতেই থাকবে। আমরা যতক্ষণ না পর্যন্ত এটাকে একটা লিমিটের মধ্যে নিয়ে আসবো এবং আমরা কি করব, খুব অল্পে সন্তুষ্ট না শিখবো, যেটাকে আমরা বলি সেলফ কন্টেন্টমেন্ট, আত্মতুষ্টি। এই সেলফ স্যাটিসফ্যাকশনটা যখন অল্পের মধ্যে না হবে, তখনই মানুষ কি হয়, এই এত চাই চাই করে, তখন মানুষ অসৎ হয়, পারভার্ট হয়, করাপ্টেড হয়। বুঝে গেছে?
স্যার
And this kind of life, they are not the source of virtue. এরা কখনোই এই জাতীয় জীবন ভার্চুর সোর্স হতে পারে না। Understood? And meditative life, অর্থাৎ একটা সুন্দর একটা চিন্তাশীল জীবন, that means আমরা যেটাকে বলি আমরা একটা পেন্সিভ একটা মুড, একটা লাইফ, একটা ধ্যানমগ্ন একটা চিন্তাশীল জীবন, thoughtful life. If you really want to enjoy, then you have to learn how to enjoy life with the minimal requirement, the minimal kind of facilities in life. You have to learn it. Now, let's move on to the next slide. Now, Aristotle is one of the greatest thinkers in the history of Western science and philosophy, making contributions to logic, metaphysics, mathematics, physics, biology, botany, ethics, politics, agriculture, medicine, dance, and theater. He was a student of Plato who in turn studied under Socrates. Now, although we do not actually possess any of Aristotle's writings intended for publication, we have volumes of the lectures notes he delivered for his students. Through this, Aristotle was to exercise his profound influence through the ages. Indeed, the medieval outlook is sometimes considered to be the Aristotelian worldview, and St. Thomas Aquinas simply refers to Aristotle as the philosopher, as though there were no other. So you see the reverence that has been endowed on Aristotle by Thomas Aquinas. He said that the philosopher. When you say the philosopher, that means there is only one philosopher. There is no other philosopher, I mean, in existence. So this is, that is the, you can say, that kind of respect that Thomas Aquinas he had for Aristotle, that you can feel it when he said the philosopher. That actually he mentioned him. He gave that title to Aristotle, Thomas Aquinas. Now, Aristotle was the first to classify areas of human knowledge into distinct disciplines such as mathematics, all this, and biology and ethics. And here, actually, when he was talking about this, he mentioned and he put, you can say, he put emphasis on happiness, while actually we were discussing different subjects or different backgrounds of knowledge. Now, consider the following syllogism. I told you in one of my lectures that what is syllogism. This is a kind of, it's a part of logic, and I don't want to, repeat it. I hope you understand what is syllogism. Now, let me move on to, I would like to skip some of these, but here, this one is important. Now, one of Aristotle's most influential works in the Nicomachean where he presents a theory of happiness that is still relevant today, over 2,300 years later. So in Nicomachean Ethics, that is the book he wrote, where actually he talked about ethics and consequently we come to know about happiness. And this book was written almost 2,300 years back. And there, Aristotle actually discussed about happiness. The key question Aristotle seeks to answer in these lectures is, what is the ultimate purpose of human existence? What is that end a goal for which we should direct all our activities. Everywhere we see people seeking pleasure, wealth, and a good reputation. But while each of these has some value, none of them can occupy the place of the chief good for which humanity should aim. So what is that aim? How can we achieve that aim? So what is the name of that aim? That our life should be directed towards that. So let's see what is that aim. To be an ultimate aim, an act must be self-sufficient and final, that which is always desirable in itself and never for the sake of something else. So you see in the Nicomachean Ethics, actually he mentioned it, that if you really want to achieve a particular object or goal, he says that that is always desirable in itself. It's not only desirable for some time, or it's nothing temporary. So that is desirable all the time. This is permanent, everlasting, and never for the sake of something else. For example, I cannot desire justice for the sake of happiness. I cannot desire justice for the sake of self-satisfaction. That is, that thing that you're going to desire in itself, that is the reason in itself. That is the goal in itself. I cannot exchange that thing with others. So in exchange of one thing, you cannot expect that thing. What is that? That is happiness. And it must be attainable by man. And every man, they can attain it. So he's coming to that point. What is that thing that you can attain, that is most desirable thing, that is permanent, everlasting, not temporary, not transitory, and which is not exchangeable with anything else? So Aristotle claims that nearly everyone would agree that happiness is the end, which meets all these requirements. The happiness is the goal. That is the end, which meets all these requirements. So it is easy enough to see that we desire money, pleasure, and honor only because we believe that these goods will make us happy. So why do we want money? We want to be happy. Why do we want to have pleasure? Because we want to be happy. Why do we need honor in our life? Because we want to be happy. Because it gives you self-satisfaction, self-dignity. And for that, we need, for this happiness, we want to have all these factors, that money, pleasure, honor, everything. It seems that all of the goods are a means towards obtaining happiness, while happiness is always an end in itself. So we want to achieve all these things. We want to gain all these things in our life, this money, pleasure, honor, love, whatever you say. We want to gain all these things because at the end of the day, or at the end of the life, even when I'm on my deathbed, I can say that I am happy. So just to avail that thing, the only thing, the happiness, we want to do all these things. So happiness in itself, that is the purpose, that is the goal, and that is an end in itself. Understood? Dear students, what I have said. Is
Yes,
it okay?
So
So,
happiness is something
Yeah.
that depends on other
sir.
things.
Yes.
no, all the other things that depends on happiness, because happiness is the end. Happiness is the end. Whatever you do it because you want to be happy at the end of the day. That's it, plain and simple. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, that's great. So I'd like to conclude our today's discussion here, and we'll be talking more about happiness and how we can achieve this in our life, and also the Aristotle's philosophy of happiness. Okay? So thank you very much for staying with me and to participate in our today's discussion. Thank you all, and hope to see you next time.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome. Have a good day. Take care of yourself.